beautiful souls. I hope you're well. I'm going to center and see what our guidance has to say to us today. So, when you try to understand other people, often you project onto them the challenges you're going through in your own life. It is something to be quite aware of, because it might mitigate the relationships you have with others in your life, maybe on a personal level, on a work, or any type of relationships you have with people. Projection is often a danger, and we put this word in quotes, not in order to mean about fear, but it's a danger in the sense that it might influence the way in which you perceive the other, but also the way in which you will interact with that person. We invite you to dispose yourself or to put yourself in a disposition where you would be without expectations, and trying to stand in a place that is not that of your ego or your mind, which often will try to influence the way in which you interact with others and yourself as well. And for this, it is a challenge, because in your world, you have learned to become reactive, and to resist or react or immediately respond to other people's words or reaction in a way that is not necessarily coming from a place of your heart, of your soul, of your higher self, of your wisdom. Often your ego and your mind will be the first ones to respond, a little bit like a dog that will just bark at anything that comes by the fence. And without even being necessarily aggressive in your words towards people, but just your actual posture, not only physically, but also your internal posture, will determine how your relationship with people will develop or will take place. And what we mean by that is that if you are in a place of wanting to prove your point, if you're in a place where you want to argue, and again, the major difference between arguing and discussing. If you're in a place where you want to argue, if you're in a place where you want to be right and prove your point, or try to apply your own perception of the world or your viewpoint and try to impose it on the other, it will, first of all, it will be quite challenging in terms of relationships, in terms of the way things will turn out in your exchange. But also it puts you in a place where you're not receiving and you're not giving in the best possible posture. And so we invite you in your relationships with people, whatever it is. It can be a simple exchange with someone when you're in a public transport. It can be when you're doing groceries and you're speaking to the person at the cash or a client next to you. It can be in a very involved relationship with a loved one, a lover, and a friend, whoever, a family member. We invite you to always try, and it's very challenging, we realize that, to remain in the posture of the observer and not to be in the posture of the barking dog where you're ready to jump at anything that comes by, but just to just be in that position of the observer and remind yourself that you're not there to prove anything to anyone, and that your point of view, your life, your view on things is your own, and it's tinted by your baggage or your experiences or by your beliefs, and that it's very crucial that you don't bring this to the exchange with the other. We all kind of know that intellectually, but when it comes to applying it in our everyday life, it's a challenge often, because right away we get into this posture of reaction or resistance or and it is very, very crucial that we are able to, in that way, remain observant of our inner reactions to see how, okay, I'm getting mad right now, I'm getting angry, I'm getting triggered, I'm being angry, I'm being scared, I'm feeling challenged in my point of view or in my beliefs. And by remaining an observer and being in that posture of calmness, first of all, if possible, trying to breathe perhaps for 1 or 2 breaths, trying to remain in a position of what personally I call the helicopter position. And it's not a question of being from up there and looking at the other one with a posture of judgment or anything like that. What I mean by the posture of the helicopter is to be able to take a little bit of a step back and just be able to observe the situation in general, including ourselves, our reaction, our emotions, everything that comes up in the exchange with the other. And in that posture of the helicopter, we're capable of being a little bit less involved and less emotionally, engaged to the point where we lose our perspective. And from there, we're able to actually listen, really listen, to be present, to be mindful, but really listen. And to be a real listener is an art in itself. Active listening is an art that each of us could gain at developing a little bit more. I include myself very much in that. And before trying to answer to someone, when someone tells us something or shares with us something, trying not to have an answer already ready, not to have something that is ready to come out and just to prove your point or to back yourself in your beliefs and everything. Just trying to listen to what the person is saying is already a very, very important step that we often kind of skip in our exchanges. Sometimes a good way that can help in this exchange with the person is to tell to the person what we have understood from what they tell us. I think it's I'm no psychologist. I have no pretension of being any psychologist, but I think there's a way to offer back to the person who shared something with us a way to tell them that we understood and we have not interpreted what they said, but that we were really at a point where we were listening and really hearing what they say. And a possible way of doing this is to repeat what we have understood to the person. We can say something like, I hear what you say. I hear what you say. What I feel you're telling me is that this and that. And then the person might actually say, no, actually, this is not what I wanted to say. And then we're going to realize that our perception was perhaps a little bit, how can I say, biased from our own interpretation, from our own inner feeling, situation, values, beliefs, and everything. So that's always a good thing, an opportunity to make known to the person what we have understood from what they said to us. And then they can in return either correct us or say, yes, indeed, that's what I said. And then we can pursue the exchange in a way that's based on this understanding of the other, of what the person has said. And it can prevent a lot of conflicts, a lot of reactions, a lot of resistance, and a lot of arguments. Another technique which I've heard of before. Again, it's no specialist or anything like that, but I've heard of that, and I don't know what's the exact expression in English. In French, we have this expression which is called le bâton de la parole, which is I get, I don't know what would be the right translation, the stick of 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 uttered words or something like that. I don't know how you could call that. It has to do with Native American people tradition. And I don't know, again, I'm no specialist. I've just heard about this technique and so again, I don't know from which nation this particular custom came from. So, I'm no specialist. I'm just sharing this with you. But in this custom, it is said that when a group is meeting for having a conversation about a particular topic for the whole tribe or anything like that, a person will be handed a stick, and when the person who holds or has the stick in his hand or her hand is allowed to speak, and nobody else is. So as long as you're holding the stick, you're the one who is able to express yourself, and you're not going to be cut off by other people, or you're not going to be intruded upon by what they want to say, how they want to react, or and then when you're done, either a person can ask to, may I have the stick, and then you can pass it on to that person, or the stick can naturally be passed on to the next person on the left, on the right. I don't know exactly what the custom is exactly, but I think this is kind of a visual example of how we should be super, super careful in our relationship, yes, but also mostly in our conversations with people, how we often tend to cut each other. And I know I do that often. It happens to me because I'm very enthusiastic about the conversation. It's not necessarily because I want to prove my point, or because I think, I have something better to say or whatever. It's sometimes just because I'm very enthusiastic about what the other person says or has to say. And something comes up in me and I'm like, oh yeah, I want to share about this regarding what you're saying. But again, it's not always very respectful. And again, trying to cultivate a little bit more patience when people talk to us, by not trying to already have an answer prepared, but just to really settle the information down in our heart and just listen to it really deeply in our heart, and let it be there for a while. Then after that, we can kind of let go of this urge to have an answer, or to be in solution mode, which often we are when someone's confiding into about their problems. We tend to be in solution mode. We want to have a good solution for them. Again, are we really listening so well? So this is an invitation that my guidance offers to be careful not to be in reaction too much, and to be much more present, more mindful in our exchanges with others and with ourselves as well, because we are having exchanges with ourselves, and sometimes we are quick to answer back, to react, to resist, or to be in an arguing kind of posture, even with ourselves. So this is what we are encouraged to do, especially in these days, when we are right now in a situation on our planet Antera with a lot of division, unfortunately, that is happening between people. And it's our role to unite as Terrans. And one of the many ways in which we can be responsible for taking care of not putting emphasis on this division is to focus on how we can be better listeners, more present, and less involved in our own emotions and reactions when someone actually shares their point of view with us. And if we are in that way, more open, more respectful, and less biased by our own filters, well, it will most probably have a positive effect on the other person as well. And division will definitely diminish in that way. So I'll see if there's anything else they wish to put the emphasis upon. They say that we realize it's very difficult for you, and there is a little bit of a smile there, or some sort of humorous kind of tone there. I can feel. We realize how difficult this is for you to do, because since childhood, you were always raised to assert your position, your point of view, and your posture. And you were always shown and encouraged to be right and to be the victor, and always have victory in your exchanges with others, to be right rather than being a good listener. So you are invited to let go of this ego tendency to be right, and instead being in patience, silence, openness, and humor as well, because humor will disengage any type of arguments or any type of hard feelings between people. We encourage humor a lot. It is something that is absolutely essential in your exchanges with others and with yourself. So yeah, I hope this was of help to you today. Sometimes I have people writing to me and say, oh, this is exactly what I needed to hear today. That was a perfect message that I needed to hear, because I had this argument with this or that, with this person. And, so hopefully it's going to be one of those cases where, some of you, perhaps it will apply to your life today, and you will be like, this is exactly, something I have to be a little bit more careful about. And every one of these videos and transmissions I do, and these messages I receive from my higher self, from Mella Collective, or my inner guidance, is something I personally need to work on as well. So I'm a student, and will be forever, hopefully forever, a student of life in that way. So don't be mistaken. I am no prophet. I have no pretension of being any type of guru or master. I'm definitely trying to apply my own my own counsels to myself, and try to be a better person, and humbly in that way, and try to apply that. So I hope this has been as helpful as to you as it will be to me today. I wish you a beautiful day and your high vibrations, and take immense care of yourself. Bye. All my gratitude for helping this channel bring positive vibes to more people.